This is Parody. The footage shown is from Criminally Insane. Hi, I'm Sackhead Ed, YouTuber and psychopathic murderer, and this is Killers Ranked, where I break down and rank your favourite killers. Today I'll be ranking a slasher with an insatiable appetite for food and murder, the larger-than-life, crazy Fat Ethel. Ethel's killing spree begins shortly after being released from an insane asylum. It's possible that her bloodlust was induced by the electroshock therapy that she was subjected to there, though she did show signs of violent tendencies before the treatment.
How's Ethel feeling?
Fine. She's had a lovely rest.
Well, I hope she's over those terrible rages.
Soon after returning to her grandmother's home, Ethel begins gorging on all of the food in the house, prompting her grandmother to lock away the groceries. Ethel shows her that no one gets in the way of her and her late-night snack with a stab to the back. But even in death, grandmother still won't give up the key to the pantry.
I want that key! I want that key!
I'm not a massive fan of this kill. For a slasher with the massive Ethel, I was hoping for a kill with a lot more physicality. Ethel drags the corpse of her grandmother into grandma's room. Her next victim is the poor delivery boy, who had the audacity to ask to be paid in full.
Mr. Caruso says I've got to get the $80 first.
I don't have $80. I've only got $4.50.
Ethel dispatches him with another disappointing kill, bottling him while his back is turned, before repeatedly stabbing his unconscious body with the broken glass. When her prostitute sister turns up at the door, Ethel hastily adds the kid to the designated corpse room of the house, before making an excuse as to why grandma isn't home. But as her speech is at zero, it doesn't sound very convincing.
Where is she? She's gone to visit somebody.
This whole situation makes me very uneasy as a slasher. You should never mix your family life with your killing, unless you're part of one of those inbred cannibal families, because you need to be able to solely focus on the murder, without the hassle of having to hide your work from relatives. Ethel's third kill comes when a psychiatrist pays her a visit. Ethel gets another surprise kill with an inanimate object, bludgeoning the doctor to death. The doctor is also added to the corpse room, while the putrid smell starts rousing the suspicion of the house guests. Next on the chopping block is Ethel's sister and her abusive boyfriend, who may have the weakest backhand I've ever seen.
You stupid whore!
Ethel brings her meat cleaver down on the stupid sleeping boyfriend's face, waking her sister, who, despite her pleading, is butchered by the cold-hearted killer. Somehow still alive, the boyfriend makes a futile effort to escape. This is the kind of brutality I was looking for from Ethel. We finally get to see Ethel utilise her impressive mass with her last kill, when a client of her sister pays a visit. After a semi-failed sleeper hold, Ethel overpowers the man with ease and chokes the life out of the hapless pervert. The new addition to the bedroom-turned-abattoir leaves Ethel with the conundrum of what to do with all the corpses. Really, you should always know how you're going to dispose of the bodies before you carry out a spree. But as we've seen, Ethel doesn't really think before she acts. Ethel decides to dismember the cadavers and throw the remains off the side of a cliff. But Ethel gets spooked by some of the tourists. Instead of driving 2 minutes up the road and dumping them there, Ethel calls the whole mission off, returning back to her grandmother's home. But Ethel makes the rookie mistake of leaving a severed hand in the trunk of her car. Leading to a visit from a detective.
My God.
Now we can't be sure whether Ethel's consuming the bodies for sustenance or to dispose of them. If the plan was to get rid of the remains by eating them, well, surely she'd be left with the bones. Unless she's planning on eating those too, which is a possibility. Now we've reviewed Crazy Fat Ethel's work, let's get to the ranking. Ethel's killing style is based around flying into a fit of rage, often when deprived of food, and catching a victim when their backs are turned, or are otherwise unaware. But the mark of a true slasher is knowing your strengths and how to use them. Ethel unfortunately rarely uses her own strength, which is her strength. I'd like to see Ethel take a more head-on approach to her killing, as she doesn't really have the social skills to lull her victims into a false sense of security, like a Patrick Bateman type. Her uneasy nature is sure to set off alarm bells with the more savvy potential victims. That said, I do have to give her props for killing everyone she's come up against. I also admire her savagery. how she's able to murder 2 family members in cold blood without showing a hint of remorse. Ethel has 6 confirmed kills, my favourite of which being the murder of her sister. The willingness to kill a family member in such a fashion shows that Crazy Fat Ethel is clearly emotionally ready to become a full-time slasher. Surprisingly, Ethel's biggest flaw is what she does with a victim once they're dead. If you're going to be a slasher in a metropolitan area, you have to carry out the kills away from your home, or have a solid plan of how you're going to dispatch the bodies. Ethel didn't make such plans, and may pay for it greatly. Ethel's irrationality and lack of foresight is one of her biggest barriers to becoming one of the greats. However, she is the first killer to be ranked, so by default, Crazy Fat Ethel takes the #1 spot with a score of 3.6 out of 10. Will Ethel stay at the top, or will she be toppled by our next killer, Pamela Voorhees? To find out, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. If you disagree with Crazy Fat Ethel's score and ranking, let me know why in the comments, and I may re-rank her in the future. If you want to support the channel, maybe sign up to the Patreon for the low price of $1 and gain access to my initial thoughts on the killers that I'm covering, and nominate killers you'd like to see on Killers Ranked.